guys, and welcome back to another episode with the Motor Spirit EG6. We are on part 3 of the ATL fuel cell install. I've got lots to be getting done today. So today I want to get the bars painted at the bottom, the fuel cell, or at least the container in there for the final time. And I've also got one other thing that I need to fit, which is a bit of a last minute new addition. So you'll notice that the exhaust tunnel is completely bare now. There's no handbrakes or cables there anymore. So what we've got to go in its place is a hydraulic handbrake. Simply due to the size of the fuel cell, I haven't got any space for the handbrake cables anymore. So I thought, why not, kill two birds with one stone, save some weight, lose the handbrake mechanism and the cables, and we'll have the hydraulic handbrake in there. It's just for staging to get myself off the line. Maybe induce a little bit of understeer and do some mad Civic skids, yo.
Oh, toma, you idiot. It's just a bumper.
So the first thing I need to get done today is getting the frame painted from the underside. So I'm going to mask over the top, get the car on the ramps, and then we can paint in the underside. Once that's painted and dry, I'll be able to get the container in, hopefully for the final time. And concurrently I'll be fitting the hydraulic handbrake and getting as much of that plumbed up as I can. I'm still waiting on a few more fittings, but let's get to it. Alright guys, so I just got the hydraulic handbrake mounted. It was just a case of drilling in 4 riv nuts, if you like, and there she is, mounted just where I want it. That's perfect really, out the way of all my gear shifting and where I want it to pull on the brake. Love it, looks really good. Now to do more painting. Alright guys, so it is another day down at the Motor Spirit headquarters. I've been trying to crack on with bits here and there. I've not had a lot of time free recently, so I'm just chipping things away. So I apologise, this episode is going to be fairly disjointed, but I'll be keeping you updated as I go along. So current progress is, I spent the other evening getting the brake lines plumbed up as far as I could. So we've gone from the back of the back of the master cylinder on the hydro into a T-piece. This is all just loose fitted for now, and I'm just waiting for some bulkhead fittings. I'll be going through them holes there, and then we can run them through to the brake lines underneath the car. You'll see the fuel cells sat in now. The container should be sat in and not need to come out again. The actual cell is in there, but I still need to pull that out, and that's what I'm looking to do this evening. So I finally got everything through. I really hope that I need to build everything into the what is this thing called, into the collector. So we're going to put the fuel pump inside, work out a way of getting that secured in there. I've finally got my convoluted fuel pipe. That's what I want to achieve this evening, and then when I get all the rest of the parts I can start plumbing up the fuel cell and wiring. I may even get a bit of wiring done this evening, at least running wiring from the back of the dash and getting it fed into the loom back to the tank. So that's where we're at. Yeah, so let's try and get this collector built. And then I can build up the tank, put all the baffle foam in it, and that should be that done and put in the car for the last time, maybe. Alrighty, so that's the collector built and hopefully good to go. So we've got the fuel pump in there, my little fuel line, and the wiring is done. I've managed to block off one of the holes that was sort of pre-built. I really want to block off that one, but I haven't got any grommets. I've got this. This is where the return pipe's going to come back down and inside to the collector. It's a little bit loose, but it should be fine. It's never going to stop fuel coming out of here, and I don't want to stop it doing that. Obviously, that's why there's these slits here as well. But I do want to try and hold the fuel in here as best I can, but obviously not so it's not going to create itself. It's not going to create any pressure for itself. I might have a look around and just see if I can find a grommet that I can fit in there for now. I'd have to test it in some petrol first and make sure it's going to be okay. But other than that, we're pretty much good to go. So I'm going to put this inside the tank, I think. In fact, no, first I'm going to I need to work out the foam. So the foam, this will sit about there inside the tank, and the foam's going to sit in the front and to the sides. So I just need to cut in where these wings are. Need to cut them in because the foam will sit on top here, and it's a foam that retains this at the bottom of the tank. So let's see if I can get a grommet in there, and then we'll put this in, and then, we'll cut the foam in and then look at getting it all inside the tank, hopefully for the final time. She's in. That was a minor ball leak, wasn't too bad to be fair. So we've got a bit of a gap either side, but that's fine. We want the fuel to be around the collector, obviously. Yeah, and then we got plenty of space all around it, above it is what I mean. And I think we're good. So I'm going to get the top plate now. And just make sure that this is all going to go together. These pipes are really stiff and really difficult to get on the fittings, so once it's on, it is on. Okay, that is everything plumbed up and wired up on the inside. I've undone the fuel sender for now just because I need to calibrate that. So I'm going to start doing the wiring from the dash, get everything wired where I need it to be so I can calibrate this bad boy. Then that can go back in the tank for the final time. I can bolt all this down and hopefully that will be it. So I managed to get the hydraulic handbrake all plumbed up. I had a bit of a mess around with the fittings because I've only got metric hard pipe fittings, but I had imperial T-pieces and things like that. So I've had to really, it messed me around quite a bit because the fittings are very similar, but that's all in and plumbed up now, and the handbrake is solid and working really well. As you can see, the fuel cell is installed. The container is in for its final time. In fact, the whole lot is in for the final time, just the top plate I'm still working with. But you can see the majority is plumbed up, with the feed lines running to the back of the car through bulkhead fittings. We've got the super sexy filler cap installed, so I put a carbon fibre backing plate on there, and that is all plumbed up and good. We've got the fill and the feed and return lines, just nice simple routes going to the underside of the car, and then they run out underneath. I've still got to plumb up one more line, but otherwise they are good to go. And then we've got the vent line with the rollover valve inside the tank, so coming up to the highest point of the car and then running backwards, venting outside of the car, again on a bulkhead fitting. And I just need to I'm going to fit a bit of the fuel cell baffling foam, some leftover that I've got. I'm going to wrap that around the sort of vent on the outside of the car, so if there is any fuel spillage that does come out, it will get kind of held by the foam and not spraying out everywhere. Yeah, so that's where we're at the moment. So I'd say we're 90% of the way there. I've still got to calibrate the fuel sender, which I want to get done today, and wire up the fuel pump. So I've just been sorting out the wiring, or just splitting up the wiring so I know what I've got. So this was off the original setup, and here we've got the the wiring for the fuel pump, the first fuel pump, or pump 1 if you like, and pump 2, and this was the sender wiring for the resistance based sender. So I'm hoping I can reuse most of this wiring, if not all of it, certainly for the fuel pump, and certainly some of this. So yeah, got my laptop out of my wiring diagram. I'll also be using that to configure the AIM dash for the fuel sender once it's all wired up. If I can get that done today, I'll be in a good place, because then all I've really got left to do is that last bit of plumbing. And yeah, I think that's it, and then it'll be a case of getting it tested, ready to race, which is in less than 2 weeks time. I've got about 10 days now until Rockingham, so no time to waste. Let's crack on. So I'm just working out the wiring. I'm currently working with this connector here, and what I need is a VB plus VB input, I think. No, output. Oh god, plus VB output. It might be an analog input. In fact, I think it's an analog input I need, and a ground, which I've got. So the wire that I've got that came from the old fuel level sender, I can use as the analog input into analog input 1. So we'll just go on pin 1, that's fine. The analog ground, hopefully I can run a ground from there. I'm not sure if I actually need to, if I have to run a ground into the dash. In fact, I'd imagine I will do, yeah. So we'll do that. And then it needs a 12 volt reference, which I think would be the VB output. But yeah, that is pretty much what I need. So I'm going to run them wires through, and hopefully that'll be what I need for that. Yeah, so 3 wires for the sender, 2 wires which are already there for the pump. Let's do it. Alright, I've just got the fuel pump wired up, got the easy one out of the way. So I've just I used an old 6-pin connector that I had, made sure I've used a thick enough gauge wire for the fuel pump at each end. So I'm going to plug them up now, put the earth on and see if the fuel pump works, and then we can get on with the sender. Yes, yes buddy. Okay, that's taken a long time, but I've finally got everything wired up. So it's taken me a while to get this working correctly, so I'll take you through what I've done. Signal wire from the ATL sender going to the analog input on channel 1. I'm also using the analog ground in the dash, so the ground from the sender goes up to the ground on the dash. Then I've got a strong 12 volt feed, which I still need to terminate properly, but a strong 12 volt feed, a good 12 volt feed, which comes on with the ignition, is feeding the power supply to the fuel cell, sorry, to the sender. So that's all fine. Now configuring the sender, you're supposed to, well, you can either touch this calibration wire, which is the white wire, and it says touch it to the body of the sender to calibrate it. Now that wasn't working for me. It only worked, it says either touch the body of the sender or on the just earth it against the vehicle. Now for me, the only way I got that to work was earthing it against the vehicle, and then you earth it again once it's submerged in fuel. But they were just the sort of points to pick up on that. Then calibrating the actual sender itself using the software. So I made a custom sensor which was volume based. Obviously now I can set it to litres, and within the AIM software, the Race Studio free software, you can like read the live values as they're coming in. So I read the live values for channel 1, and when it was full I was getting 4.8 volts or 4,800 millivolts, and 230 empty. So you need to make a note of them values. Then set up your custom sensor table, with the maximum value being 4,800 millivolts, which meant for me was a volume of 60 litres, and then the minimum value was 230 millivolts, which meant I had 0 litres because that was it out of the tank. So that's that all calibrated and transmitted to the dash. So if we fire up the dash now, hopefully you can see it okay with the steering wheel. Oh, did not want to press that one. Right, so here we go, here's the dash. So that's all been transmitted, and we're currently sat, as you can see, I've got a little test tube thing full of petrol. So we're sat in and we got 60 litres, and then as I slowly pull this out of the tube, you should see the fuel level going down, and that's it now out of the tube, and it comes down, should come down to 0. Yeah, good. So I'm interested to see how quickly that goes up. So if I just dump that straight back in, it does pretty much shoot up straight away. That's cool. So with the software as well, you can also set a like a I don't know what you call it, where say if the fuel's sloshing around, it's not going to go like 40-45 litres, 40-45 litres all the time. It will sort of dampen the level as it comes in. So it might be something I need to play with. I don't think I will, because there's so much baffling and foam in that tank that it's not going to slosh around anyway. But finally, we have a fuel reading, and that should be pretty accurate. What I'm going to do now is get the sender finally fitted to the top plate, finally fit the top plate to the fuel cell, and that should be all of that complete and plumbed up. And then I'll stick some fuel in it. Okay guys, I'll be honest with you, I'm completely lost as to where I'm up to with these videos. I think when I left you last time I was wiring, maybe? The wiring is done. We've got everything up and working to the dash now, so I won't be able to show you that because I blew a fuse. But the dash is now done and calibrated. All the wiring is in with the fuel cell. The fuel pump is working. The car now runs. And to be honest, the cell setup itself is pretty much complete. The only things I've got left to do is I've bought some nylon braid stuff to tidy up this, so I'll be coating that. And I'm thinking I want to seal in the sides, probably with some foil tape, which I can do today, and a way maybe potentially of sealing this sort of firewall for the filler, sealing that down, or not sealing it but just holding it down securely so it's not shaking around, both at the top and at the bottom. Yeah, otherwise it's working pretty sweet. I've got I do need to put something on the other side of the vent, so I'm going to use some of the tank foam that I've got left over, so I'm going to do that now. The other thing I want to do is to make sure that this doesn't go walkies or missing. I need to secure this somehow, probably on a wire that will sit under one of these bolt heads. And what I'm thinking is, if I can find it now. What I'm thinking is pretty much stealing this, which was the original filler cap, putting a small hole through this lip of the actual handle, and then using probably a different style. Do you know what? I might see if I can replace these with pro bolts as well. But anyway, yeah, fitting that to the bottom one on a non, what do you call it? Ugh, can't think. What's that called now? So using a non-flush mounted socket head bolt and just putting that under there. Yeah, and then securing this so that can just hang down and it's not going to go missing. Or if any funny bloke wants to steal it, they'd have to do some damage to do so at least. Yeah, anyway, it's just sort of preventative measures as always. But the car seems to be running great. My fuel pressure gauge has died completely. But I have just bought, so I've really got my head into how the dash likes to see the wiring and the signals that it likes to see. I've been able to work out exactly what kind of sensors I need to replace. So I want to replace my DEFI DIN unit that I've got, so I'll be able to sell that and get some money back in the bank. Yeah, so basically the dash wants to see voltage type sensors, so 0 to 5 volts, and the majority of sensors you get with gauges are sort of resistance-based single wire. At least the cheaper end ones are. Anyway, I've found sensors that are very well priced, look like quality bits of kit and should work fine for the pressure side at least. I still need to work out temperature. I may need to delve into the world of using pull-up resistors to make it see a voltage on the dash, which would be something I need to work out. But if it's a voltage-based sender or sensor, then the dash is pretty much plug and play the dash, or it's much easier to calibrate and set up than a resistance-based one, as far as I know. But yeah, we're pretty much there, good to go for Rockingham, which is in just over a week's time. So this time next week, I'll be making my way to Rockingham, or getting ready to make my way to Rockingham. Yeah, and it'll be the third round of the season, so looking forward to that, and hopefully we can do well again. Alrighty, that's the cap secured, so now I can just go whoop, 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 and that'll be that. Just used well, it came with that. I used a electrical crimp and then cut off the sort of plastic sheathing and crimped it on. And that's Spotty Dog, that's not going anywhere. And actually it makes it a bit easier to get open. Just need to be careful dropping it down there when I'm fueling up. But other than that, not a drama. Okay guys, I have finished the fuel cell install. I've just finished foil taping in the sides, so it looks sealed, it looks professional, and it looks pretty freaking proper, if I do say so myself. I'm really happy with how this has turned out. It's been a lot of work, I'm not going to lie, it's been a lot of work. It's meant, you know, I had to lose the handbrake, so I had to pull all that out. I've had to repaint the interior, although it did desperately need it, and the car is looking so much better for it. But the actual fuel cell itself is looking legit. I'm going to use that word. I still need to tidy up the wiring. That's the last thing I've got to do, but that's a real simple job, simple fix. And I do need to fit the foam on the other side of the vent at the back of the tank there. But yeah, man, I think that has turned out pretty damn sweet. Really happy, really happy. Now it just needs to work. I just need to be able to go the distance, run it down to like 1 or 2 litres without it giving me fuel starvation, and I'll be even happier. So there you go guys. Yeah, that was a bit of a unplanned epic that I've had to get done, but hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully it's a little bit different to what you see with some of the other Honda channels, or any other channel really. You know, this is proper race car stuff going in. So yeah, there you are. We're at the end of that era. Yeah, and again, sorry if this episode seems a bit mishmash, chip chop. Like I say, I've been filming bits here and there, and to be honest, I end up getting really stuck in, or someone ends up turning up in the garage more often than not, and I just don't really get the chance to film what I want to film. And I was also really worried about time, about getting this done, but we've got some time to spare. So yes, sorry if it's a bit choppy. Hopefully I've captured as much as I can, the important bits at least, and it's turned out to be a good episode. We'll see. That's about it. So as always, thank you so much for watching. Do check us out on Facebook. As I always say, I put a lot of updates on there. It's at Team Motorspirit, I do believe. So you can find us on there. Me and Ted as well, he's be putting his updates on there, since he's not making videos. And if you're around in the UK, around Corby on the 9th of June, I'll be there racing in the Armed Forces Race Challenge. Got 3 races there that weekend, next week. So come and say hello. Be really good to meet some of you. But that is me. I'll stop saying that, and yeah, happy with the car. It's getting there. Cool. Right. See you until next time, guys. Thank you once again, and I'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye bye.